Good evening, boys and girls. Tonight's Curmudgeon in the Cellar is brought to you by the color purple and the letters THC. Tango Hotel Charlie. Anyway, welcome. I'm doing this at a different time of the night. I'm usually very late at night when I do these because I wait for my wife to go to bed, but she's out of town for the week, so I'm doing it now. I won't be doing another one until after GaryCon. And if any of you have seen the thing that my whack out buddy Jim Wampler came up with today, we're going to do on our trip up to GaryCon an homage to Seinfeld's Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. We're going to do Curmudgeons in Cars Getting to Gen Con. But please be advised that this won't be available for at least 3 or 4 weeks. It's going to have to be edited and put together. We've got just some vague ideas of topics we're going to riff on and have some fun. And I got to practice from now until the day we leave on my filter. So, several things to talk about tonight. Some game stuff and some GaryCon stuff. So I want to start with the game stuff. I was asked recently about Rangers and even a little more recently, Assassins. So the first one about the Rangers was how they get all their spells. Well, not from me. All that silliness came well after I was gone. Now, if I was to sit down, and I believe I did publish maybe an article or two about a Ranger, or what would Strider be if in terms of old OS or the OD&D OSR. I may well have done that. My God, that was so many years ago. I don't remember. Don't care. Jesus, 40 years ago. So I could just, if I was sitting down, I could justify some small S skills, small A abilities that someone that devoted, their life to living on the frontier, keeping the good guys safe from the monsters that we all know lurk out there, an empathy with animals, of course, an ability to track, able to find food just about anywhere, water anywhere, herbal healing skills and stuff like that. No problem. Doing something Crocodile Dundee with the woo and making the water buffalo lay down. I could see those skills, as a progression type thing. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But pardon me, with spells, and it seems like everything with these ranges and spells came in like post 2, second edition. I'm thinking maybe. I've spoken to Jim Ward, and he had nothing to do with adulterating the Ranger class with spells. So that makes me think that's a 3 and 3, 5, and 4 type thing. And no, I wouldn't give him the power to do spells, because if you keep the straight magic system of memorizing the spells at the beginning of the day and then replenishing them at night, like a magic user has to do, which I like. Well, this just doesn't fit with a Ranger. Innate abilities learned over a period of time, becoming a better Ranger, certainly. That's my take on Rangers. They came about because of Aragon, because of the movies, because of the books, well, books first, then the movies. And that's how we ended up with them. Gary wasn't the only one at TSR that at one point bemoaned the fact of the influence that Tolkien had, because nobody could see beyond Tolkien. There was a period of time when no one could see beyond Tolkien. It had to be that kind of elf, that kind of dwarf, everybody was forgetting all the stuff in Appendix N. They were forgetting their Grimm. They were forgetting their Scandinavian folktales. Oh, well. Any event. Assassins. I could see an assassin as an NPC that a party would need to hire for his particular skill set for a particularly dangerous undertaking. As a player character, it makes no sense to me whatsoever. It seems to me that assassins got to go one of two ways. Like, nobody knows who they are. And that makes them scary because they're unknown. Or else they got to wear some weird occult sign thing on their lapel that people go like, ooh, it's an assassin. It's like having thieves in the party steal from the party. I'm all for letting the party beat the shit out of the thief, and if he keeps doing it, let him kill the character. I mean that. Anything that disrupts the chi of the party, anything that disrupts the harmony and the cohesion and the collective brain, well, then, just like we produce white blood cells to get rid of bad stuff, the party needs to club that sucker to death until he gets the idea that's not cool stealing from your friends. So that's all I'll say about that. I wouldn't have them. No way. Not as a player character. A lot of things that we had posited as non-player characters ended up being co-opted, I guess. Let's see. What's this note? Okay. Owning your world. Oh no, before we go there, I had some instant feedback on last time about awarding of experience. And actually, however you do it is right. Again, the cop out, but it's really not a cop out. However you do it is right for your campaign, if your players are coming back. I award. Someone said, he awarded XP for overcoming obstacles. Well, that's what I was driving at. Not just overcoming, which implies a struggle, perhaps, or at least an arm wrestling contest, but figuring out a workaround. I'm okay with that if it's ingenious, and if it preserves the harmony and the lives of the party and succeeds in the mission, and it's not some cheesy metagaming stunt, I'm all for giving masses of experience for that, as if they killed the bugger. Because unless you're adventuring in a continual campaign like Greyhawk was, we go back to certain places. You're in not just a dungeon crawl, or not just in a shire, but you're playing in a campaign that's country-sized or even continent-sized. Well, then, okay, that nasty thing they avoided is still there. And 6 months later, a different party of different players can go tangle with it and succeed or fail. The XP, when there wasn't early on, before we started really expanding on the rules, I kind of kept track of parallel experience. As we were playing, this is the old thing, is we were playing, we didn't have a designated thief, or as we played and somebody got good at it, I kept track of their increasing skills and ability in doing something, whether it was lighting fires when they needed, whatever. All right. And so as that knack, if you will, kept coming up, well, that was what I would call a parallel experience type thing. That knack was getting better, even though you had not amassed enough points to go up a level. I would give increasing abilities and skills for whatever your knack was. So you might actually be performing slightly over what the table or chart says. I didn't care. If you had successfully done that thing several times, then I gave you increasingly better odds of doing it again. I thought that was only fair. And so my question on this experience thing is, when do you award it, when do you don't? Well, you got to make a decision, and it's boils down to, you do it by rote or by real. By rote is whatever the charts and tables say, this is how I do it. And that's okay. If you play a very straight by book campaign and everybody's cool with that and everybody expects it and everybody's comfortable with it, that's great. That's great. No problem. Or you can do it by real. What seems right? What feels right? What's your common sense tell you? And we used to use our common sense, or what we thought our common sense told us, far more than we used the charts and tables. So that's what I would call a parallel express. As someone just got really better at traps, or detecting slopes, or things. They weren't a thief, so they didn't have natural pluses and rolls, but because we played our first several months without even Greyhawk, so there were no thieves. We just had guys that figured out doors and figured out locks and stuff like that. So that feel of do it by what feels real, what feels right, pervaded our campaign even after we got those kind of things. Because I wasn't going to nitpick about, oh, well, there's wire traps and then there's needle traps. No, traps are traps are traps. So yeah, it's possible to have parallel experience going on, in that you recognize a thing that one of your players doesn't, keeps doing well. Then yeah, you are actually upping. If the chart says they got to go up a level to get another 12% chance of doing a certain thing, and you're already giving them 8 or 10 of them, I don't have a problem with that. It's your world. Make it your world. It works that way because I said so. That's what you need to rely on. You need to keep that foremost in your mind and hold it in your heart. It's your world. It works that way because you said so. If you do it right, if you're not didactic, if you're not a dick about it, obviously you aren't. If your players are coming back, then okay, it works that way because I say so. No different than an American moving to Australia and finding out little differences that happen, and no, they're not going to do it your way. It's their world. You're going to do it their way. And I'm not picking on Australia necessarily. Let's see. I wrote some little notes here, so I have to look at these. What else do I have here? Okay. I want to make a shout out, thank you, that I should have mentioned last week when I was talking about TotalCon. I came into one of the games, and several of the people waiting for me were all subscribers to this channel, and they got to talking about a recent episode, and a gentleman named Joshua Ford, gentleman, capital G, reached into his bag and handed me a copy of William the Conqueror 1066, with his statement that after he'd heard that and he was thinking about it, that life was too short. He wasn't going to possibly be able to play every game he had squirreled away, and he gave it to me for nothing. I was just gobsmacked. Thank you, Joshua. My buddy Don took the rules home with him last night so he could read up on them, and when he comes back next week, hopefully we'll start fooling around with it. As soon as I figure out how to get that final map unfolded without cracking it, I need a couple of sunny days that I can lay it out on the porch and not have somewhere where the birds are going to land on it and poop. So that wraps up TotalCon. That takes care of the D&D stuff. Now we're going to talk about GaryCon. And the first thing is, I've got a rumor. There is going to be donated to the auction a foil set of the brand new MCC, Mutant Crawl Classics from Goodman Games, complete with all the adventures and the playmat and all that kind of stuff. This is like the level that I don't buy at. This is where I start grimacing because I'm usually down at the bottom level, and this is the next level up, and it's going to be auctioned off. It's Jim Wampler's author's copy, so it's extreme. If they were trying to mate, it might not find another copy, and it might die out. That's how rare it is. And it's good. Of course, the charity this year is Wounded Warriors, which is one I firmly support as well. Luckily, I was not wounded, but I had friends who were, etc. So I'm even going to dig something out of my collection, I think, and donate it for the charity auction for the Wounded Warriors. And now let's talk about GaryCon. This is going to be a big GaryCon. I get to present this year's Gary Gygax Lifetime Achievement Award to this year's winner. I'm really pumped up. I believe I'm in a celebrity charity game playing either Dungeon Crawl Classics or Mutant Crawl Classics. I'm fine with either one. And so I'm looking forward to that because I don't get too many chances to sit behind the screen. And these charity games are just as much fun for me as they are for you guys playing con games. You're not really got a lot invested in the character. You're just trying to have fun, provide some laughs, and it's entertainment. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm really amped up about my dirt track racing game. I understand it's sold out all 12 spots. If I had more cars, we would run more spots. I've only been able to find 12 in that series, and because the series was made in 1992 by Matchbox. All right, I've only been able to find 12 cars to use as counters, but I can promise you we are going to have fun. I understand there's a waiting list. If that's the case, I may run a heat race for everybody who couldn't get into the big one. I got some time to kill on different days, especially Sunday. I've only got an 11 o'clock game, and it'll be over by 2 probably at the latest. I'll run heat races for anybody who wants to live. I ran it at TotalCon, and it was a gas. Let's see what else is going on at GaryCon. Well, there's so many other great things going on at GaryCon. I look forward to seeing my old buddies. I look forward to and here again, my filter problem isn't so much with profanity. It's using the right pronoun that's politically correct currently. So when I say buddies, that's a non-sexually defining term. It's all my friends from TSR. It's some were males, some were females. It's my friends from Lake Geneva and the area. Some are males, some are females. Okay, they're all my pals. See, even pals has sort of got a sexual connotation. So anyway, this is a magic substance. Apparently, some of you don't know about. And so any of you coming to GaryCon, pay close attention. This is soap. Comes in many shapes, many sizes. This happens to be Dial antibacterial, but it is soap. Soap is used when you get your body wet. You rub the soap all over yourself. Then you make your body wet again, so all the soap runs down the drain or onto the floor or into the back seat of your car, wherever you do this. Soap. If you don't have a bar of your own, steal your sister's. I have something else here. Apparently, this is also an unknown artifact to a number of people that come to these cons and play games. And sad to say, at Total Con, there were actually, well, let's just say that sexual equality in gaming is going in the wrong direction. This is deodorant. It comes in many shapes and sizes, clear and white and spray. When I was in the Navy, we called that taking a marine shower. But you know what? You didn't stink. If you don't have one of these, can't find one around the house, steal your sister's. Ladies' deodorant works on guys. Actually, ladies have more of a deodorant problem than guys as a rule, which means there's a really potent. If you steal your sister's, I wouldn't recommend using it past the weekend because it's so strong it might make all your armpit hair fall out. But you won't stink. Please. Please. We are dealing our peers, without brag, without pretension, are amongst some of the most intelligent in terms of measuring IQ or whatever other tests you use of the population. And yet, certain parts of the gene, I guess if you have so much intelligence, your nose doesn't work, or you forget about shit like personal hygiene. Please remember, personal hygiene is your friend and all of our friends. I'm going to have a pie game. Don't know which one yet, but we're going to have pie, cherry pie. I'm trying to find somebody other than Jim Ward to have a pool noodle jousting match with on scooters. I'm not going near Jim Ward. Jim Ward's no, he's much too. He's nowhere near good enough shape to fool around like that, and I'd feel horrible if I hurt him. Horrible. Let's see what else is happening with GaryCon. Please again, make sure you order some tableside service food because we have to meet a quota that keeps our rent down. So, and really, as I said before, if you didn't see the other one, the food's pretty tasty. It's reasonable. It's not 15 or 20 minutes away downtown. You don't have to, if you weren't one of the ones that drove your own car, you don't have to find somebody who's got a car or go borrow one. Now, I admit I will do that. I go to one of the local groceries and buy about 6 or 8 bags of cheese curds right off the bat so I can take them home with me. So I make sure I get that out of the way. And if you're going out to buy cheese curds and you forgot that deodorant, there's your chance. Let's see what else is coming up about GaryCon. Oh, I heard another rumor too. I don't know whether this has got any basis to it or not. The Goodman people are doing something at their booth, some sort of raffle, or I guess their normal practice is when you buy things, you get a ticket and they throw it in the bin or whatever. And so I don't, I'm not exactly sure. I don't work for Joseph Goodman Games. I just have a couple of friends who do, and I hear they're doing something, and it might even involve leather. Whatever. I'm looking forward to seeing as many of you old friends as possible. Looking forward to making new ones. I'm going to hold a flash mob salon somewhere on, let's see, what night is it? Yeah, Friday night. I'll put up a couple of signs, or something like that. But I'm going to find an area where they're either in an area with alcohol available or right next to it where we can carry it to, whatever, according to their hunky rules. Whatever their funky rules are. We're going to just have a little informal flash mob salon. We'll discuss things both ludicrous and lovely. Whatever else happens, we'll tell jokes, we'll tell stories. And I hope to see a whole boatload of you there. If you're coming, don't forget your Hawaiian shirt for Saturday. All right, that's one of the ways we honor Gary, him and his love of his Hawaiian shirts. And everybody do the don't snow dance before you leave, because we don't want snow. And that is about all I've got until after the con. I've touched everything on my list. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. What else is here? Well, I got to put my glasses on. I might have missed something here. Pardon me. All right. Oh, okay. No, that was a further note on the parallel XP. As I've told along those lines again, as I've said many times, I'm not a big fan of the capital S skills and the capital A abilities as they've developed in later editions. But I was always a big one for noting those things and letting them develop naturally within the framework of the campaign, within the framework of the game. And I think those are very legitimate. Getting a bunch of knacks by spending points or getting lucky on some character generation chart is, to me, bogus. I like the if it feels right, common sense. That's how you gain experience, whether or not you go up a level. Keep in mind also, again, I didn't mention this earlier, a level is your ability to avoid the fatal blow. If in the meantime you've just been going gangbusters at finding traps and opening doors and picking locks, in my campaign, you could be functioning 2 or 3 levels, supposedly according to the rote charts, above your station because you're good. So again, don't be a slave to the charts and the tables. Go by what feels right in your head. And if it feels right in your head and the players don't all immediately pelt you with 4-sided dice, go with it. And speaking of going, time for me to go and time for you to come to GaryCon, I hope. I'll give you a full report when it's all over. Good night.